Welcome, wrestling fans. Welcome to Curtain Jerkin. As always, I'm your host, Jacob Grondy, reporting for the Main Event Marks YouTube channel and Dragon Suplex Podcasting Network. It's been a big week in pro wrestling. It's been a big week in my life. I ran a 5K over the weekend. I'm a avid runner. I'm sure I've talked about it before, but I've been going super hard into it. I've been doing 75 hard, honestly. So it's 90 minutes of working out a day, a gallon of water, no drinking, 10 pages of a book. So that's, seeing how that goes. And, I had a hernia surgery in August. So I've been kind of recovering from that since, honestly. And in November, I ran a 19:35K. I felt pretty good about it. In my local area here, I was, not winning, but getting top 2, top 5 finishes. But this weekend I ran and I hit a 17:50. So, even non-runners know that knocking off, a minute 30 from your time or a minute 40 seconds from your time is pretty good. I felt pretty good, congratulated by many people, got a trophy. So feeling pretty good about this. So I was stoked to have the day off and watch a bunch of wrestling, which is exactly what I did today. But before I go into the wrestling I watched, breaking down all the news from that and all my opinions from that, we have some other headlining news here. XFL, The Rock-owned XFL, is now partnering with the NFL. We all saw The Rock at the Super Bowl. I didn't put two and two together that he was the owner of a whole other league, whole other football company than the NFL, but I guess, that was by design. But now we know that the XFL will be working with the NFL. It won't be like a farm league, which is exactly what I thought about when I read the headline. They will be kind of partnering up as far as using each other's refs, it seems like, and sharing technology like helmets and pads and things like that to, make sure that everyone's safe and as safe as they can be. They are grown men running at each other at full speed. And they also think that this will be good to go to other countries for some other reason. They think this partnership with XFL will help the NFL or football in general be able to go to other countries. I don't know how they're going to make that work. I know that, the CFL in Canada, I know Mexico really likes football. When I was in college, we had a few football players from Germany, believe it or not. And I know that they play a few games over in the UK to mix reactions over there. But somehow the Rock's XFL is tied into this global expansion of the NFL, but it's not a farm league. I don't know. It seemed like it was wrestling, but then I started doing, my research or reading pretty much other people's research, I should say, about it, and it felt very non-wrestling, but I already put the time in, so I'm talking to you about it now. It feels weird, no football on Sundays, I watch the Panthers every Sunday. I watch the playoffs. This Sunday, there's just a big void. Like, what was I going to pay attention to when I was supposed to be paying attention to work? Nothing. I had to just work. It was awful. But you know what isn't that bad? Cody Rhodes leaving AEW. I felt like it was time. Cody started something, and it kind of took off. And maybe the crowd was cheering him, or booing him rather, when he wanted to be cheered. Maybe Tony Khan didn't want to give him the money he was expecting. I think Cody will go to the WWE if he stays in wrestling. He's not CM Punk. He's not that mad. He's not that stubborn. He left to make a point, and I think he made that point. He's a way bigger star now than he was when he left, and he honestly changed the course of wrestling history forever with All In and creating AEW. I think that Vince will give him the respect enough to pay him a lot and to push him to some degree. Vince and the gang also have incentive to push Cody because, that shows that if you do leave AEW, you can come over, no fear, they won't run you into the ground, and you can't come to the WWE. maybe some other AEW guys will follow suit, and maybe that's what they're thinking here. I also, if you look at Drew McIntyre left and came back a bigger star and was pushed, at that time in NXT, and then came up, and then he even won the world title at WrestleMania. It was in front of no fans, but what can you do? He held the title going into a WrestleMania. At WrestleMania, last year. So, we have a recent history of that. And then John Pollock actually brought to my attention on his daily news updates that, when Vince is always yelling at the commentators, he never yells at Jerry the King Lawler. And apparently he never yells at Jerry the King Lawler because Jerry the King Lawler ran his own territory. So he has a little bit of respect for him there. So, looking at how Vince treated Drew McIntyre, looking at how Vince apparently treats Jerry the King Lawler, looking at how, Vince kind of held Dusty Rhodes, at the latter half of his life to high regard. I think that Cody is safe to go to the WWE, and I think he will make a lot of money going to the WWE, and I think WrestleMania needs him. I think that they will throw large amounts of money just to make sure that WrestleMania is good. They got to sell 200,000 tickets to both nights of this thing. I think they're getting a little desperate. I think they've only sold about like a quarter of those tickets or a third of those tickets. If he goes to the Indies, that would be cool too. I think he will kind of do a Matt Cardona thing, work in the NWA, work in GCW. Of course, he's a former NWA champion already, so that would just make a lot of sense. I can also see him showing up in the company that EC3 and Braun Strowman are creating, because I can see him enjoying the control your narrative aspect of that company. But I think if he did do that, it would be like a one-off. If he did do the NWA, it would be like a one-off because he's making a lot more money. He's the TV star now. He's in Go Big Show. He's got his own reality show that was on TBS. So all roads kind of lean to him going back to the WWE, in my opinion. Like I said before, he's not Punk. He kind of, when he was, on the top of the ramp smashing Triple H's throne, that's one thing. But in interviews, he said, he's always been very respectful to the WWE. And I think it's because he knew he was going to go back there one day. Speaking of WrestleMania, though, and big returns, I think there's going to be a big return. I think, Logan Paul, rumored to come back. If, I'm recording this while Raw is actually on, so he might be already out. But rumored to be partnering with The Miz. And I think that, kind of like Bad Bunny, a lot of wrestling fans don't realize how big of a star he is. He's a huge star. He already sold out a stadium with Floyd Mayweather. So we know he can do that, and he's already, showed up at WrestleMania before. I think he would bring some eyes, some tickets sold to WrestleMania, and they will be younger fans, and WWE desperately needs younger fans. He's also a part of the best heel tag team in the business right now with his brother Jake Paul. I know AJ Styles said that The Miz was the best heel in the business. I guess he's forgetting about MJF, and he's also forgetting about Jake Paul, Logan Paul's brother, who has been, the GOAT heel right now for a few years, in my opinion. Another star that would obviously make a big impact if he came into WrestleMania would be Stone Cold. They are saying that Stone Cold is very willing to come, and of course WWE is very willing to work with him again in an in-ring setting. Getting ready for a match. Rumor is, it's in Texas, the Texas Rattlesnake, coming back, wrestling Kevin Owens, who's been shitting on Texas for a little bit. WrestleMania is in Texas, but The Undertaker is also a Texan, as many of you probably know. He's going into the Hall of Fame this year. So they do have that kind of fallback. You get the Taker entrance if Stone Cold isn't ready or doesn't want to do it or whatever happens, and you can get him beating up Kevin Owens. And then as far as just like the people in attendance probably would forget about Stone Cold enough to where you could get Kevin Owens and Undertaker out of there. But I do think Stone Cold is coming back. I mean, they've already, cracked the door, and everyone else is jumping through it. I mean, Dave Meltzer is talking about it. It would make sense for me to do, the Stone Cold appearance the first night, and then get the publicity that Sunday morning to hopefully get a few extra Peacock buys into that champion versus champion match, Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker, the second night. One person that I do not think we're going to be seeing at WrestleMania is Kairi Sane, someone who, defended successfully a championship at WrestleMania 36, who originally was from Stardom, is going back to Stardom. This is kind of cool because this company has been cherry-picked for years now. With WWE, just all over the place. AEW a little bit. Just been cherry-picking Stardom, kind of using Stardom more or less as a farm territory. 4 stars in America, and this is the first one who is coming back. So hopefully this is a new era of Stardom, of not being cherry-picked, but having, their talents coming back and wrestling for them. Hana Kimura obviously, sadly enough, left. So there's like this kind of, they're having really good wrestling, but they're reaching new popularity, and I think bringing in some of these stars that have this WWE run will get them even more so on the correct path. I mean, Toni Storm just got released. We haven't really seen much of her. I know Ember Moon didn't wrestle there, but I can see maybe her doing real well over in Stardom. I know Asuka wasn't from Stardom, but she hasn't been on the WWE in a long time, so if she gets released, I can see her going back to Japan and going to Stardom for the first time. Hopefully this Kairi Sane jump from WWE to Stardom is a new era of this company where they solidified themselves as great wrestling, got cherry picked, held their own, got bought by what's the name of that company? Something Road, the same company that owns New Japan Pro Wrestling. So they're appearing on New Japan Pro Wrestling shows. New Japan loves former WWE guys. Kairi Sane is a former WWE girl, guy, whatever. So I think this would just help the company bring back Toni Storm, bring back stars like Ember Moon and Asuka, get them on Stardom, and I bet they would get an even bigger, broader showcase in America with some of these stars. There's a lot of controversy with these Saudi Arabia shows, but this weekend the Elimination Chamber happened, and it was a fun show. I don't really watch too much WWE. I watched one Raw after Royal Rumble, and I decided that I'm just going to watch the big shows. I kind of always just watch the big shows. I get kind of disappointed when I start watching week to week. I love the big fight feel of the WWE, but I hate the goofy week to week programming. It was crazy to see how over some of this stuff was that would not be over in America. They're doing chants like "You Still Got It," and they're doing chants like "This is awesome." Indie chants that kind of got so big they entered into the WWE, and now you're seeing WWE fans in Saudi Arabia chant it at things you would never see these indie wrestling fans chant it here in America, which is kind of the appeal to the show. Talking about big fight feel, they were in the largest concrete dome in the world here for this show, and I have every single match, all 7 matches ranked from worst to first. I didn't see Jinder versus Mansoor. I heard that match was going to happen. I didn't see it, so I was upset that didn't happen. Maybe I missed it. I did watch the kickoff show. I did see Miz and Ray. I didn't see that match on the kickoff show. But here are all the matches broken down from worst to first. Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, worst on the card. This match was good, don't get me wrong, but it was just so short, and it wasn't designed to be the best match, so it sits at number 7 out of 7. Spear by Goldberg. Roman locks in the guillotine. Goldberg gets knocked out. Roman looks like a fucking star, is a fucking star. Solidified badass in Saudi Arabia. This was good. Goldberg needs to be putting over these guys in Saudi Arabia because Goldberg's not going to be able to go to Saudi Arabia for much longer. So you're going to have to start, having your newer current stars beat Goldberg, so then they're the star in Saudi Arabia. That's kind of how they're doing it here. Number 6, though, is very disappointed by this match. Becky versus Lita, the Raw Women's Championship match. This match was just fucking bad. The Saudi Arabia crowd chanting, "You still got it" at Lita. I beg to differ, Saudi Arabia. I beg to differ, Jeddah. She fucked up a sleeper hold at one point. She also fucked up her patented Hurricane Rana in the corner. So she's fucking up fundamental moves, and then she's fucking up the moves she's known for. She does not have it. Becky won. This was, like I said, a big disappointment. Moving on. Number 5 out of 7, Madcap Moss with Drew McIntyre. This was a fun match too. It kind of had an old school dynamic here. A little bit here. I don't know. It kind of, some of these matches just felt like so 80s to me. Which is good. Corbin just attacks Drew. It's really a 2-on-1 attack the whole match. This match was kind of overshadowed by this crazy bump that Madcap took, taking an Alabama Slam, just falling right on his head. And then it's all capped off with Drew McIntyre swinging a sword at Baron Corbin. Corbin ducks, looks over at the ref like, what the fuck was that? And I can't blame him. I mean, I'm in a wrestling match with somebody. I know it's a 2-on-1 attack, but you're pulling out a sword, and then while Drew McIntyre is holding the sword, Madcap Moss gets Claymore kicked 1, 2, 3. Drew McIntyre gets the victory. It's a fun match. Number 4, the women's chamber match. Nothing bad happened in this match. Nothing good happened in this match, except for Bianca. We'll get there. It was just okay. Nikki and Liv start things off. Doudrop comes in. She kind of cleans house. Rhea Ripley comes in. She kind of cleans house. Rhea eliminates Nikki. Alexa comes in. Liv, her boot buckle gets caught in the turnbuckle. Doudrop has to kind of act like, has to just turn off wrestler and save this woman here. I thought we were going to get a Cash Wheeler problem there, the way she was kind of hung up there, but no, she was safe. She was just kind of caught in an awkward angle. Everything was just there, but then Bianca came in. The Star cleaned house. Bitch slap exchange for her and Rhea Ripley. You gotta love that. Twisted Bliss to Liv. She's gone. KOD to Rhea Ripley. She's gone. Then you had Alexa versus Bianca Belair for a little bit. Bliss misses the 450. KOD 1, 2, 3. Bianca is going to WrestleMania. Becky versus Bianca is the match I wanted to see, but these two lackluster women's matches kind of took the air out of this feud. Hopefully, for the people that do watch week to week, they can hype it up again with some promos, and we can get off to the races here. Number 3 out of 7, Miz versus Ray, the curtain jerker of the evening, the pre-show match, sitting at number 3 here, cracking the top 3. Springboard crossbody, 1, 2, Miz kicks out. DDT, 1, 2, Rey Mysterio kicks out. Miz was fucking with Dominic the whole match. Miz goes and gets a chair. Dominic doesn't let him. The ref is looking at Ray. Miz, Eddie Guerrero's Dominic. Ref turns around. Ref thinks that Dominic hit Miz with the chair. He gets kicked out, but while Miz is bragging, Ray rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. Fun little match. Mysterios get the victory. I guess they're gonna have Mysterios versus Miz and Logan Paul in WrestleMania. Sign me up for that. That'll be a fun little spectacle of a match. I thought they kind of blew their load when they did Edge and Phoenix Marie versus Miz and Maurice. I thought that was kind of a WrestleMania match. But if they're bringing in Logan Paul, they're bringing in the big guns. It kind of makes sense that they did that match at Royal Rumble. Number 2 out of 7, Ronda Rousey and Naomi versus Charlotte and Sonya Deville. This was kind of the opposite of the Lita-Becky match. I was all set up to cheer for Lita and cheer for Becky and enjoy myself. And I was all excited to shit on Ronda Rousey because of all those comments she said a few years ago about wrestling. I'm still not over that shit, but I gotta say, I was really into this match. It was really good. Old school feel, well-paced match. I loved the one hand tied behind your back thing. It reminds me of Nick Patrick versus Chris Jericho at World War III in WCW. I think it was like 96 or 97. Ronda Rousey has her hand tied behind her back, and as soon as the bell rings, Sonya Deville just reveals that her arm doesn't need to be in a sling, that she can use both her arms. I popped. The crowd booed. Great shit here. Charlotte going after the other arm was a nice touch. And long story short here, Ronda Rousey, one arm tied behind her back, taps out Sonya Deville, much to the chagrin of Charlotte. Charlotte, I guess she's not liked in the back, but she killed it here. Everyone involved here, I was ready to shit on, but they just did a great job, and I can. It sits at number 2 out of 7. And of course, the only one there, the name of the show, the Elimination Chamber, the men's chamber match. This was a fun event here. This was a spectacle, great main event. Seth versus Austin Theory. Austin Theory is a really good wrestler. He was the glue that held this whole match together. But he did get buckle bombed into Bobby Lashley's pod. So Bobby gets taken out of the match. They say it was because of that, but he actually had a shoulder injury for a while here, so he needs surgery. So he's unfortunately not going to be at Mania, but he's getting that Saudi check, which I think is a little bit bigger than the Mania check. So hopefully that can pay for his injuries. After that, Riddle comes out, AJ comes out. There's good shit between these four. And then Brock comes out. He eliminates Rollins. He eliminates Riddle. He eliminates AJ. Austin Theory, of course, doing a good job avoiding the Beast. Low blows the Beast, tries to escape the chamber. Brock Lesnar climbs the chamber. F5s Austin Theory off the pod. 1, 2, 3. We're getting champ versus champ at WrestleMania. You could see it from a mile away, but it's still awesome when you get there. Kind of like a great city landscape or city skyline. You see it from a long way out, but as it gets closer, even though you're going towards it, it's getting more grand, more interesting, more of the details are coming out, and you're just blown away from the spectacle of it all. That's what this Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns feud is feeling like. I see it from a mile away, and I'm enjoying getting closer and closer to it. I feel like if you're into that feud, you like WWE right now. And I'm into that feud, so I like WWE right now. If you're not into that feud, you're probably not into the WWE right now, but that's okay because we have alternatives now. Alternatives like New Japan Pro Wrestling, who had a great weekend in wrestling. They had 2 big shows. One, February 19th. The curtain jerker for that one was Taka Michinoku and Dookie versus Makabe and Fujita. You forget about Makabe, but right when I started watching, he was holding the Never title, he was holding the tag title, he was doing his thing, but he's kind of just fallen to the wayside to where you don't ever really see him even in the cards anymore. The Young Lion cleaning house 2-on-1. Makabe a good guy, but I bet Fujita wishes he wasn't that good of a guy here because he didn't even want to get tagged in or help his partner in this 2-on-1 attack. He eventually does get the hot tag. Fujita almost taps Dookie in a Boston Crab. Dookie gets out, hits a beautiful drop kick, and then chokes the Young Lion out. What can you do? But then the main event here, the U.S. title match, Tanahashi versus Sanada. Neck and neck in the early going. Action spills to the floor, and they're just locking in the arm bars. They're just having an armbar battle on the floor. Back in the ring, Sanada locks in the Paradise Lock to Tanahashi. Senton by Tanahashi. 1-2. Sanada kicks out. Tanahashi locks in the Paradise Lock himself. This was kind of silly. I'm glad they did this stuff at the early going of this match. Cloverleaf, Sanada hurting real bad here. Gets to the ropes, counters it kind of into a skull in, and then Tanahashi counters that into a sling blade by the Ace. High fly flow. Sanada gets his already injured knees up to block the high fly flow. Skull in, locked in again in the middle of the ring. Tanahashi getting out, hitting multiple twists and shouts. Sling blade 1-2. Sanada kicks out. Both men staggering a little bit, get to their feet, get into a big strike exchange. Big rolling elbows by Sanada. German from Tanahashi, 1-2. Sanada kicks out. High fly flow. Tanahashi goes splat. 1-2-3. Sanada gets his first ever singles title in New Japan Pro Wrestling, the United States title, the IWGP United States title, not to be confused with the U.S. title in WWE, of course. But this is big. I remember when Sanada came in, joined LIJ. I was doing a podcast with my buddy Peter at the time, and we were both like, this is awesome. This is like the evil Okada. This is going to be a guy who goes up against Okada and maybe wins, the world title. And now that world title isn't even a thing anymore, and it's taken him 6 or 7 years to win even a singles title. So good for him. He's gotten really close. Here it is, the IWGP US title champion, Sanada. I don't know if that means Sanada's going to be coming to the States. I don't know if that means that Tanahashi now has this title, off of the US title picture into New Japan, so now he can come to America. I don't know what it means, but it was a great match. I have a poll going up of which match you like better, this match, this main event from February 19th, or the main event from February 20th. But before we get into that, we do have to talk about the curtain jerker for that night. Tiger Mask, Robbie Eagles, and Fujita versus Ishimori, Jado, and LP. This was a fun little match. Of course, everyone's a great wrestler, but the storyline of this match is pretty interesting. Ishimori holds Robbie Eagles up, wants LP to super kick him, just like he used to with the loaded boot. But since he was exposed by having that loaded boot at Wrestle Kingdom, he's kind of traumatized. He doesn't want to even hit the regular super kick anymore, which everyone knows he can do, because of some kind of mental block. Ishimori, frustrated, goes ahead and finishes the job, gives Fujita the second L of the weekend, and kind of gets pissed at LP. Jado having to break it up between them, but I'm a little confused. Ishimori's a little confused. I'm pretty interested to see where this goes. I mean, the loaded boot is such a classic storyline, but having someone being traumatized after being caught with the loaded boot is a new take. And I'm going to give it some time to grow, see what happens here. Pretty interesting. Fun little way to start the show. But this main event, Okada versus Naido. I remember working at a pizza place when this main event was the main event for Wrestle Kingdom, and this was the height of New Japan in America. There was like 3 or 4 guys that worked in this pizza place with me. We all liked New Japan Pro Wrestling. They all liked Naido. I was an Okada guy through and through. Don't get me wrong, I like Naido, but I was cheering for Okada, and when he won, I got to go in and brag that my guy won over their guy. This was such a big deal that people didn't even watch wrestling. They knew the name Okada. They knew the name Naido. People were coming in with like LIJ hats and Bullet Club t-shirts into this restaurant. It was just a fun time. So seeing this main event is always going to take me back to that time. And the funny thing is, I think that time is like 2017, which feels like just yesterday, but holy shit, 5 years goes by so fast. Neck and neck in the early going, slow pace here. Okada drops a DDT to the floor. Naido hits a swinging DDT in the ring. Both men down. Okada in trouble as Naido gets control. Money clip slows Naido down. Eventually Naido gets to the ropes. Puma Blanca. Naido goes old school here. Okada gets to the ropes. Hurricane Rana. Esperanza, Okada roll up, 1-2, Naido kicks out. Destino attempt countered by a Rainmaker, both men down. Wrist control by Okada, lariat after lariat. Naido cuts him off. Destino 1-2, Okada kicks out. Stardust press 1-2, Okada kicks out again. Okada counters the Destino with a Destino of his own. 1-2. Naido kicks out of his own move. Naido dodges the Rainmaker, but not the dropkick. Pile driver, like Tombstone pile driver, so good. Rainmaker, 1-2-3. Okada gets the victory. Amazing shit here. I gotta say, Okada versus Naido was my pick as far as better matches. But let's check this poll. I put up a Twitter poll what match they liked best, what match you guys like best. If you guys are listening to this, maybe there's still time to still vote. But as of right now, 66% of you guys are agreeing with me. Okada versus Naido is the better main event of the two. But 66%. I remember when they just were, going back to 2017, when they put this U.S. title on Omega, people were like pissed off. They thought that Omega shouldn't have had this title. And now people are congratulating Sonata by having the title that was looked at as under Kenny. And then going back to the news of the week, Cody definitely did a big job solidifying this title. Moxley did a great job solidifying this title. Of course, Moxley is on AEW now, and we're going to be going into AEW right now. The week that was, let me give you my thoughts and opinions on both shows before we break down every single match from worst to first from AEW last week. CM Punk comes out, does his old line about how he's drug-free and alcohol-free, and that's why he's better than you, says that MJF stole that. Great promo here, and long story short, he challenges him to a dog collar match, which is pretty cool. The first ever match I ever saw CM Punk was CM Punk versus Raven in a dog collar match in Chicago at Ring of Honor. So to bring it all the way back, I'm freaking out. I'm marking out. Sign me up. Sign me up to the Tag Team Battle Royal that's going to happen. Those clusterfucks are always fun. Moxley comes out after the Danielson match and says, the only reason you want to be in a team with me is because you know that I can beat you now. I thought that was a great line. I think this is a great feud. You don't really need to do much. Just kind of keep having them interact, and before you know it, they're going to have a match, and we're all going to fucking love it. Solid prepackaged promo from Keith Lee. Cole having to stop Red Dragon and the Bucks from bickering was a nice little touch. You're seeing this storyline come to fruition. We're just like the skyline analogy. The skyline is way in the distance now. We just see a little dot, but we know what's coming, and we're pretty excited to get close to that skyline. Hangman promo interrupted by Cole. Red Dragon attacks him. Dark Order breaks it up. Paige and Cole is going to be a good match. I just hope Paige has a long title run. We need the person who doesn't have that WWE rub to have this AEW World Championship match, a champion for a long time, to secure and solidify that you don't have to be in the WWE to be a great world champion in North America or in the world. Malachi Black and Brody King playing Magic the Gathering for some reason. Jay White cuts a good promo saying that he was the reason why Kenny left New Japan, so Kenny came to America and started AEW, so he kind of started AEW. Good little heel logic there. Rampage, 10 doing the Ty Dillinger thing now with his hands. Long overdue, worked, got over in Nashville. I also like the old school footage with Piper and Valentine hyping up the match with Punk and MJF. And now we're going to break down every single match from worst to first. All 12 matches, starting with Serena Deeb versus some girl named Risk, the 5-minute challenge. Deeb turns her back and still counters the move. I thought that was good, and then also taps her out. Worst match on the card, or on the both nights of AEW Rampage and Dynamite, but it wasn't designed to be. So that's why it kind of sits at number 12. Number 11, Wardlow versus Max Caster. Max Caster is bigger than Wardlow right now. They stood toe to toe, and Max had to look down to look him in the eyes a little bit. Caster clocks him with a gold chain to no effect. This is the second week in a row that guys have just been no-selling weapons, and they use weapons a lot in AEW, so I don't think it's beneficial for them to downplay that shit, especially for what we saw in the main event of that same show. Wardlow does win with 4 powerbombs, though. Powerbomb Symphony, you gotta love it. Send the crowd home happy. Number 10, Lee Moriarty versus Brian Danielson. I was pretty excited that this match was happening, but it really kind of wasn't the match I had in mind, so it was disappointing, but that was because I hyped it up in my own head. You could kind of see that these guys were just like really just having fun with each other. It wasn't as competitive as I thought it would be. Moriarty does get choked out by Danielson via Danielson's legs, and when he's choking him out, he's flexing with his arm, showing everybody the guns. I thought that was a great heel move. JR loved it. I loved it. Kind of saved this match a little bit in my eyes. Number 8 out of 12. Hobbs and Martin. Hobbs tosses Martin not once but twice. Huge suplex by Hobbs. Springboard corkscrew by Dante Martin to Hobbs, but spine buster, a good old-fashioned spine buster, gets Hobbs the win. 1, 2, 3. Number 7 out of 12. Hager and Jericho versus Santana and Ortiz. Fun match, well-paced match. Right as the match was about to start, Kingston's music hits, comes out of the ring. Hager is yoked as fuck. Santana with a good hot tag, but gets cut off by the code breaker. Powerbomb street sweeper 1-2. Jericho kicks out. Eddie on the apron. Jericho jumps up, springboard dropkick, kicks Eddie off the apron. But then Ortiz, the illegal man, hits Jericho, and that allows Santana to roll up Jericho. 1, 2, 3. Santana and Ortiz beat Chris Jericho and Jake Hager on Dynamite. 2 WWE guys get beaten by LAX. You gotta love seeing that. This is a good feud. It took a while to get going, but now it's awesome. I think Kingston Jericho is going to be a great match. Hopefully that happens at Revolution. Number 5 out of 12, Adam Cole Bebe versus 10. 10 overpowering Cole. Cole going after the leg. 10 one leg doesn't stop him from hitting a huge spinebuster discus lariat. 1, 2, no. Low blow by Adam Cole. Big knee. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Adam Cole gets the victory, your number 1 contender. I don't know how many matches are here, but this is the final 3. I guess I've been messing up this whole thing, but final 3 matches from AEW television this week. Bear with me, guys. I don't know what's happening with my charts here. Everything's all out of whack, but these are the top 3 matches this week. Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. This match would have probably been number 1, but we'll get to why I ranked it so low. Sammy has Darby in a fireman's carry and just drops him on the top rope as he falls down. So he drapes over the turnbuckle, falling to the floor. Darby going after Sammy's leg. Spanish fly from the Spanish God. Bitch slap battle while Darby Allin has Sammy in the figure 4. That was great. You love the figure 4 from the NWA. You love the bitch slap battles and strike battles in New Japan. This was everything that's great from those 2 companies rolled into one big main event, but Andrade does come out and hit Darby with an iPad, and that is enough to affect Darby Allin to lose this match. So ring bell doesn't affect Punk, gold chain doesn't affect Warlow, but an iPad affects this guy who's supposed to be the toughest, most durable guy in your company. I wasn't buying it. I'm calling bullshit. This would have been the best match of the week by far without that finish. And I know you're thinking, oh, you're not supposed to like the finish. Andrade attacked it, but it's a little different. It's a continuity aspect of it that makes me not like it. Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez is number 2. Rosa attacks before the bell with the chair. Martinez fisherman buster through a table. Rosa hits a dropkick while Martinez is in a trash can. Nasty elbow. 1, 2. Rosa kicks out. Fire Thunder driver. 1, 2, 3. Thunder Rosa gets the victory here, so that means that she's going to face Britt Baker. Britt Baker comes out. Martinez and Hager get into it, which I thought was cool to see. This is a fun developing feud in this women's division. And we go to the number 1 match of all week last week in AEW. Jay White versus Trent Beretta. Trent Beretta slowly becoming the bell-to-bell MVP of 2022. I think he's taking it from Danielson, taking it from Hangman Page. Every match he's in is really, really good. Let's see him with the TNT title or something. Side suplex to the outside. Trent hitting the apron on his way down. That looked nasty. Dragon screw going after the legs of Trent Beretta while also mocking Tanahashi from Jay White. Trent hits a springboard moonsault. White does not catch him or shit. Trent just eats shit on this moonsault. Deadlift German, 1-2. Trent kicks out. Trent hits a DDT, 1-2. White kicks out. Pile driver, 1-2. White kicks out again. Blade Runner, 1-2-3. Jay White gets the victory. Stares down Orange Cassidy. I know I said that I didn't like the fact that Trent was Jay White's first opponent because I wanted a fresh matchup for Jay White, not someone who had been in New Japan before. Orange Cassidy, though, was not who I had in mind. I love Orange Cassidy as a comedy character, but, he did have a good match with Adam Cole, and he has had some good matches with Chris Jericho, don't get me wrong. But, I was maybe looking forward to seeing maybe Jay White, against Danielson or something, or Jay White against Miro or somebody. I don't know. I'm not really too sure. We'll see how it plays out. Just like the Eddie Kingston Chris Jericho feud, it might get good down the road. I also wanted to talk about this match that happened on GCW's Don't Tell Me What to Do. The only match that I thought was intriguing enough to actually watch on this whole card, Ninja Mac versus Blake Christian. Ninja Mac going to Noah, which is interesting to me. A very small in stature, kind of maybe typecast as the spot monkey, if you will, by North American audiences. Also appearing in Mexico as Kamikaze. Blake Christian was in NXT earlier this year, so I just thought this dynamic was fun. But, the match was okay. A little disappointing. Kind of like Lee Moriarty and Brian Danielson. High Spot City, but none of them really were landing a lot of high spots. They're all landing on their feet, rolling out. So it was a little disappointment. Blake Christian does hit the DDT for the win. So I don't know what's going to happen with Noah. I have seen matches where Ninja Mac impressed me, but this match was not there. I wonder what's going to happen with Blake Christian. Like, he, doesn't look like AEW really wants him at this point. Wrestling in GCW, released. You got to feel for him. You got to feel for him a little bit. What are you going to do here? But that was the week in pro wrestling. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking about Noah. We're going to be talking about UFC. We're going to be talking about New Japan Cup. We're going to be talking AEW. As always, fly high. I'm out.